We're talking about borderline personality disorder and what about it makes it unique and how to identify it if you see it in yourself or in others. So if you want to know more about that, stay tuned and let's get to it.
Let me ask a little truth. I'd like to know your point of view.
Hey there everybody, welcome to Evening TV. I'm Evening Ransom, and I wanted to follow up an earlier video that I did on borderline personality disorder because the comments that I was getting kind of illuminated some things, made me think I needed to do a little bit more research. So I saw in the initial research that I did, which I thought was interesting, was that it seemed like the people had so much insight, the people that actually have channels about being borderline and stuff like that they had so much insight into it, that they could see that they had a problem, that they could tell you all about it and all of that. And on my video, what I was saying was, well, it seems like that you're 90% there then. If you can see it, you can identify it, then you can fix it. And if it's trauma related, then if you just deal with trauma, you can fix it. Well, I come to find out that really this is the crux of the disorder. That first of all, they actually say it's the female variant. It's sort of correlated with antisocial personality disorder in men, which I think is very interesting. I'm not quite sure that makes sense to me yet. I haven't seen anything that explains that to exactly, but except for that, it does seem to is related to a developmental time in life between ages 2 and 4, which is the same. Apparently, that's the same, and that they do tend to have temper tantrums, which 2-year-olds have, and that actually, if you still see temper tantrums in someone who's 4 or older, that's really a bad indicator of outcomes. That it seems to be somewhat fixed then and hard to undo. But a 2-year-old is pretty normal, and by 3-year-old it's getting less normal. By 4-year-old it's a problem. And so obviously, if you have temper tantrums in an adult, it is not only a major problem, but it is also quite terrifying to see and observe, because it's off-putting enough to have it happen in a 2-year-old, but in a grown adult who has the capacity to actually cause a lot of harm, pretty scary. It's marked by impulsivity, extreme impulsivity, and also a big identity problem, and not being able to regulate their own sense of who they are. All of the cluster B's, personality disorders, is that they're externally focused, like I call it a cold-blooded animal. Like they can't regulate who they are and their own mood themselves. They have to get it from the outside. Like a cold-blooded animal, it doesn't regulate its own body temperature, it gets it from the sun. Personality disorders operate in the same way. Narcissists regulate their self-esteem by what is coming into them this way, and with borderlines, their big thing they're trying to regulate is this. They have a proclivity to just absolutely believe that they're going to be abandoned, and then what they do is they behave in such a way that makes abandonment almost a certainty. Like they behave in such a off-putting way, a destructive way, that abandonment becomes inevitable, or at least the end of a relationship becomes inevitable. Putting on a pedestal the big, building up of a person, and then big devaluing of a person. So they're very extreme in that they build a person up, they think a person's everything, and then they think that they're nothing. So the biggest thing about them, what is really, it just sounds enormously painful, is that for one thing, they seem to be quite intelligent and quite different from narcissists. They seem to be quite introspective. They seem to be able to see into themselves, be able to identify the problem and all that, which is what I was noticing. But the problem is that there is no connection between being able to implement a solution. They can even tell you what the solution is, but can't implement it in their lives. So that sounds really just like the worst disorder of all. I mean, that sounds so. It isn't so surprising then that what I was seeing, gosh, these people have such awareness. Why do they still have a problem when they have awareness? Because as we know, the narcissist problem is their lack of awareness. Either there's lack of awareness about what is costing them, you know? Either they're completely unaware at all of their problem, or they're unaware that they're not living the happiest, best life. You know, they think that it is working for them, and their life is better than most people's, and you know, and so they're not introspective in that way. But it appears that borderlines are aware that they have a problem. They are aware of the pain it's causing them, and they are aware even of what would fix it. But then there's a disconnect with the implementation of the solution. And that there is what is so tragic about them is there's sort of this known wasting of potential. That they recognize their own intelligence, they recognize their own what they could do, and they are aware. It's really unique. I don't know how that gets to be. I guess because it's an acting out disorder, that's why it gets categorized together with the other cluster Bs, but it sounds quite different in a lot of ways, just simply because of their misery, and their self-awareness. You know, that makes it very, very different in my mind. Perhaps the acting out behaviors, the behavior of being a person in that person's life is not that different, and maybe that's why it's so much the same, because it does sound like they are obviously abusive. So let me know in the comments if you either have borderline personality disorder, how I did with this, if that sounds like you, or if you've had interactions with people with borderline personality, if that strikes a bell, if that rings a bell with you. And please give me a like and subscribe to my channel and hit that bell, because that's how notifications work. Thank you so much. I'll talk with you later. Bye-bye.